We all know the moment. The crowd roaring, Justin Wong's health bar flashing, Daigo's perfect parry. Moment 37 became a legend overnight, written into gaming history. But that legendary moment cast a shadow. On another stage, in another tournament, at the same event, a different story was unfolding. A story not of glory, but of a secret deal. A story that would end not with a bang, but with a confused, awkward whimper. This is the story of the Soulcalibur Incident. The game. To understand what happened, you have to understand the game. Soulcalibur 2 was a masterpiece. It was the third game in the series, following Soul Edge and Soulcalibur, and to many, it's still the best. It hit arcades in 2002. It was fast, it was flashy, the characters were vibrant, the mechanics had depth. It was exactly what the fans wanted. A solid, polished sequel that built perfectly on what came before. That might not seem special, but you have to look at the competition. The early 2000s were a strange time for fighting games. Street Fighter 3, the game that gave us Moment 37, was actually deeply unpopular for years. It was too different. It changed too much. It had a rocky start and never really recovered commercially. Over at Namco, the same company that made Soulcalibur, their flagship series Tekken was going through its own crisis. Tekken 4 was an experimental mess that fans rejected. It was so disliked that the next game erased almost all of its changes. So in this landscape of radical failed experiments, Soulcalibur 2 was a diamond. It was simple, it was fun, it worked. The competitive scene exploded. Everyone loved it. When it earned a spot at the biggest fighting game tournament in the world, Evolution 2004, it felt like a coronation. This was Soulcalibur's chance to shine. But there was a problem festering beneath the surface of the entire fighting game community. An open secret, a dirty word. The dirty word. The word is collusion. In 2004, fighting games were incredibly regional. Online play didn't exist. If you wanted to play seriously, you did it in person, at an arcade or a local meetup. You found a crew. You hung out for hours. You became friends. These regional crews would travel to national tournaments called majors to prove themselves.
Face! Kick in the face! Oh! Sword to the groin! No! There we go. That's it?
Evolution was the biggest major of all. You'd save up, travel across the country with your friends, all to test your skills against the best players you'd never get to fight at home. With those bonds of friendship created a conflict. When you enter a tournament, you enter as an individual, but in your heart, you're repping your home, your crew. Tournaments are pot-based. Every player pays an entry fee, and all the money goes into the prize pot. Back then, the payout was usually 70% for first place, 20% for second, and 10% for third. Fourth place and below got nothing. So imagine this, you and your best friend, the guy you drove to the tournament with, both make it to the semifinals. You know that one of you is guaranteed prize money. Maybe your friend has a better matchup against the other finalists. Would you let him win and agree to split the money later? Or worse, what if you and your friend make it all the way to the grand finals? You've already locked up first and second place. The pot is yours. If you've already agreed to split that money 50-50, what's the point of the final match? Does it even matter who wins? This was the unspoken reality. Collusion and pot splitting happened. Most people knew about it, and most people, strangely, didn't seem to care. It was just a part of the scene until Evolution 2004, until two friends from the South decided to answer that question in front of everyone in the most bizarre way possible. The incident. The Soulcalibur 2 tournament at EVO 2004 was the biggest the game had ever seen. The best players from across the US and beyond were there. After a fiercely competitive bracket, the final two players stood. They were friends. Marquette Yarborough, known as Mick, a deadly Cassandra player.
Look at my shirt. Look at my shirt. SC2? That's right, number 1.
And Robert Combs, known as Rob the Destroyer, or RTD. one of the greatest Zhanghua players in the world.
I really don't lose tournaments with my cowboy hat. There's a magic power in this cowboy hat.
They had traveled to the tournament together. This was it, the grand finals. A chance for Soulcalibur to have its legendary moment, to cement itself as a mainstay of the competitive scene. The crowd gathered, excited.
It's made so it can do exactly what you want it to do.
Is there a special name for your stick?
Mick and RTD plugged in their controllers. Over on the Tekken 4 stage, the finals were a boring mirror match, featuring a character everyone agreed was broken. Surely, Soulcalibur would be better. The players checked their controls. The character select screen came up.
You have to be able to pull off the move yourself.
So it's almost like figure skating.
What's that?
You gotta do a triple lutz on your own, you can't have a button.
Mick was known for Cassandra, but he also played a strong Sophidia. RTD was the Zhanghua master, but he also had a powerful Nightmare. They had options. They knew each other's styles inside out. The cursor moved and landed on Voldo. Voldo, the blind contortionist freak who fights backwards and skitters across the stage in a crab stance. A character defined by his weirdness. A character that neither Mick nor RTD had used once in the entire tournament, or as far as anyone knew, in any tournament ever. Then, the other player's cursor moved. It also landed on Voldo.
In the tail, boss! Next!
A confused murmur went through the crowd. What was this? A secret strategy? A private joke? What followed was not a grand finals. It was a slow, awkward, half-hearted performance. Two of the best players in the world using characters they had never played.
They were playing different characters and they're playing at a very subpar level.
Basically, they decided beforehand that they're going to split the pot. The real gamers knew that this was not for real.
Going through the motion, there was no fire, no passion, no sense that either player was trying to win.
We the most dominant team around, can't nobody stop us.
Can't nobody stop.
The energy in the room drained away. People stopped watching. They started to leave. The grand finale of Soulcalibur's biggest tournament, its moment in the sun, ended not with an epic clash, but with a sad, confusing whimper.
Oh, shivers.
Just a little bit,
You're
yeah.
like, forget the game, let's go to bed. He's a lover, remember.
Exactly, ladies.
Mick and RTD took first and second place. They collected their prize money. They denied any wrongdoing, insisting that they had simply played it out. Nobody in that room believed them. The repercussions were immediate and severe. First, Evolution implemented its first official anti-collusion rules. The rules stated that any players caught throwing a match or underperforming would forfeit their winning. How do you prove someone isn't trying? It's a controversial question that persists to this day, but it was a direct response to that match. Sandbagging with characters you never play? That would now count. Second, and more devastating for the community, Soulcalibur was exiled. When Evolution 2005 moved to Las Vegas and grew into the spectacle that we know today, Soulcalibur 2 was not invited. The organizers would claim that Soulcalibur 3 was coming out soon, so it made sense. But then Soulcalibur 3 wasn't invited in 2006 or 2007. The series would not return to EVO's main stage until 2010. The Soulcalibur competitive scene never truly recovered. You can't blame its entire decline on one bad match. The games that followed had their own problem, but the Soulcalibur incident shattered its credibility at the worst possible moment. It went from a rising star to the FGC's forgotten black sheep. Mick and RTD remained in the community. As the years passed and ubiquitous tournament streaming began, the incident faded into an awkward, half-remembered story. Tragically, in early 2021, Mick was shot and killed in his own home. The Soulcalibur incident is more than a weird footnote. It's a cautionary tale about the clash between competition and camaraderie. It's the reason collusion became a dirty word with official rules attached. It's the story of how a community's coming out party ended in silence, and how that silence echoes in the rules of every major tournament to this day.